League of Charter Schools. Thank you for joining me today here at the State House.
Always a pleasure, Kate.
So, just talked a little bit about with the speaker about some big issues. Talk with us about the tops of the legislative agenda this year for the League of Charter Schools as it pertains to legislation up here at the State House.
Well, our biggest priority right now is a housing aid reimbursement rate. The governor has moved forward a priority initiative to begin investing in our school facilities, which is a long overdue initiative. And so, congratulations and thank you to the governor for her leadership on this issue. But when we look at the reimbursement rates for charter schools and investing in the school facilities, you see that there is a disparity in the rate to which charter schools are reimbursed as to what the district schools are reimbursed. And so we're been lobbying the General Assembly to get greater equity in the housing aid reimbursement formula.
Here you are, the educators are up here, the lobbyists are up here, but for a child who goes to a school, they just think they're going to a school, and every child deserves to go to a school that's safe and warm and dry. What's the rationale for not reimbursing charter schools at the rate of local schools?
I can only suspect that it has to do with sort of this false notion that charter schools have in this building, that we are in some ways an infringement upon the traditional local school districts. Even though that we are public schools, we serve very similar populations. Our school students are public school students and are deserving of the same rate of reimbursements in an equitable fashion that all public school students are. I hear the governor and folks talk about equity and making sure that all kids have access to a high quality school, 21st century learning environments. And we would hope that that would extend to our public charter school students as well. As to why the formula has been constructed the way it is, that we're trying to get to the bottom of that, but we're working hard up here to gain greater equity.
And again, you're just looking for parity.
We're looking for equity. Again, we at the League of Charter Schools, we did an analysis of the formula ratio that is in Article 9. And when we ran the numbers, and we did the numbers based upon districts of where our schools are located and their reimbursement rates, we did a formula run based upon what we call the average daily membership, the weighted average or the blended rate of where we draw our students from.
Okay.
You'll see that there is a glaring disparity. Under current law, charter schools are reimbursed at 30%. So any total project cost, charter schools are capped at 30%. In Article 9, they're proposing that be elevated to 35%, but then there's some added incentives that you can gain, that you can access. But when you look at the rate of reimbursement it's 30 up to 55%. But when you look at the rates where our schools are located, the city of Providence gets reimbursed at 82.9%.
82%.
82.9% versus 30% or 35% of what is being proposed under Article 9. That's a glaring disparity. We serve Providence kids, we should be reimbursed at the same rate as where we draw our kids from.
So that taps in your legislative agenda this session. Yeah. There's a number of other bills that you're keeping an eye on as well that I know you want to talk with viewers about. Tell us what else you're fighting for.
Yeah, there's, part of my job up here is trying to dispel some of these false notions that about charter schools in this building, because there are folks who just don't like charter schools. They see it as an infringement on the traditional public school system. And so there's a lot of legislation that's introduced that I have to come up here and rebut. There was a bill that most recently submitted that would allow district school boards to have a representative seat on charter school boards. Now, charter schools are LEAs in and of themselves. They are school districts in and of themselves. So to have a representative from one school district serve on the board of another school district, it just doesn't make any sense.
So that's one. I know there's others.
There's another bill that suggests that the demographics of charter schools should reflect the demographics of where they draw their students from. We don't have a problem with that, but that is a solution in search of a problem, because we when you look at the numbers, we pretty much mirror the demographics of the communities that our schools are located in. So it's just another way to dig at charter schools and to perpetuate this narrative that the reason that charter schools are so successful is because they don't serve the same kids, which is absolutely false. And so my job is to try to dispel some of those false notions.
And so talk a little bit as we are here in April again, the demand for charter schools and the waiting list. Where are we at?
Well, the official numbers from Rhode have not come out, but the March lottery date was done, and we collected our numbers from just our member schools, the 18 members of the League of Charter Schools.
Mm-hmm.
And collectively, we had just over 12,000 applications for a little over 1,000 seats. So you'll see there's a 12-to-1, demand to capacity ratio that
that exists and that folks are looking again for this educational opportunity. And of course, you're looking to fight for the charter schools up here at the Rhode Island State House. So I appreciate your taking the time to come on live today. Tell us a little bit about your legislative agenda. Of course, we'll put links up to the League of Charter Schools. Keith Oliveira, I appreciate your taking the time.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Kate.
We'll go around the corner and welcome our next guest here at the Rhode Island State House. Don't go anywhere.